At 2:07 a.m., when most of the city was asleep and the rain had turned the streets into mirrors of broken light, Daniel Harper answered a knock he almost ignored. His phone had buzzed first, an unknown number, a shaky voice asking for help. He was tired, bone-deep tired, the kind only a single parent knows. His 6-year-old daughter, Lily, was finally asleep after a nightmare about thunder. Daniel stood in the hallway, phone in hand, weighing responsibility against instinct. Then he heard the fear and the strangers breathing again, and something in him moved before his mind could argue. When he opened the door of his modest apartment building, the rain rushed in with him. He grabbed his jacket, texted his neighbor to keep an ear out for Lily, and drove toward an address he barely recognized. The city felt hollow at that hour, traffic lights blinking to no one, sirens distant and unconcerned. He told himself he was only going to make sure everything was fine. He told himself he could turn back. He did not. The house was enormous, all glass and iron gates, standing like a fortress at the edge of the river. Daniel parked beside a luxury car with a shattered window and stepped out into the rain. A woman stood on the stone steps, barefoot, hair plastered to her face, wearing a red dress that looked out of place in the storm. She hugged her arms around herself like she was trying to stay whole. "I'm here," Daniel said gently, raising his hand so she wouldn't be startled. "You called." She looked up, eyes wide and shining. "You actually came." Her voice trembled, not dramatic, not rehearsed, just scared. Her name was Evelyn Cross. She did not tell him that night that she was an heiress, that her family's name was stitched into skyscrapers and charity galas. She only told him that she was alone, that her driver had quit mid-argument, that her phone battery was dying, and that someone had tried to break into her car when she refused to leave with him. The security system was down. The guards were gone. Everyone she trusted had vanished when she needed them most. Daniel listened. He always listened. It was a skill he'd learned after Lily's mother died, after grief taught him how much people needed to be heard before they could be helped. He took off his jacket and wrapped it around Evelyn's shoulders. She flinched at first, then relaxed, like someone finally allowed to breathe. They went inside. Daniel checked doors, windows, corners. He moved with the quiet confidence of someone who had once been a firefighter before life changed course. He made tea in a kitchen larger than his entire apartment, hands steady, voice calm. Evelyn watched him as if she were seeing a language she had never learned but always wanted to speak. When the power flickered, she panicked. Her breath came fast, eyes darting. Daniel didn't tell her to calm down. He didn't dismiss her fear. He sat across from her at the marble island and told her about Lily, about how she hated thunder too, about how fear didn't mean weakness, it meant you cared enough to be hurt. Evelyn cried then, quietly, tears mixing with rain on her cheeks. By the time dawn softened the windows, the storm had passed. Evelyn insisted Daniel stay until security arrived. When they did, crisp uniforms and apologetic faces, Daniel stood to leave. He expected that to be the end of it. A strange night, a good deed, a story he might never tell. "Wait," Evelyn said. "Please, can I see you again?" Daniel hesitated. He thought of Lily, of routines, of the walls he had built to keep pain out. "I'm just a dad," he said. "I don't belong in your world." Evelyn smiled, small and certain. "Neither do I," she said. "Not really." They started slowly. Coffee turned into dinners. Dinners turned into walks with Lily, who eyed Evelyn with suspicion until she learned Evelyn could braid hair and listen without interrupting. Evelyn learned how to sit on the floor and play pretend. Daniel learned that wealth could be lonely, that being surrounded by people did not mean being seen. The challenges came quietly at first. Evelyn's family disapproved. They sent articles about Daniel's past, questioned his intentions, whispered about motives. Daniel felt the weight of judgment in rooms he had never been invited into before. He pulled away, afraid of being a liability, afraid of hurting Lily if the world decided to punish them for loving someone powerful. Evelyn faced her own battles. For the first time, she said no to expectations. She canceled engagements, stepped down from boards, chose simplicity over applause. It cost her relationships she thought were unbreakable. She learned that courage was not dramatic. It was waking up every day and choosing honesty even when it hurt. The breaking point came when a scandal broke. A reporter twisted the story of that night, painted Daniel as an opportunist who targeted a vulnerable woman. Cameras followed him to Lily's school. Words became weapons. Daniel packed a bag, ready to disappear, ready to protect his daughter by sacrificing himself. Evelyn found him in the doorway, suitcase at his feet. "Don't," she said. "Don't decide for me." "This is my fault," Daniel said. "You don't deserve this." Evelyn took Lily's hand. "Love is not clean," she said softly. "It's worth the mess." She stood in front of the world and told the truth. About fear, about kindness, about a man who showed up at 2 a.m. with nothing to gain. The noise faded, not all at once but enough. Years later, Daniel would still wake up before dawn, still pack lunches, still worry. Evelyn would still carry the weight of her name, but they would face it together. Not because of money or rescue or fate, but because one night in the rain, a stranger answered a call when it mattered. And that, they learned, was how love began, not with fireworks but with showing up.